Hopefully it's doing okay now. If anybody tunes into this, tell me if you can hear me. Just let me know. I'd appreciate it. Yep. What a day. What a day in Rochester. It was something else, to say the least. I'll give you that much. Fascinating, very fascinating day. Yep. Interesting, to say the very least. Lots of broadcasts today. Lots of broadcasts. Interesting situation unfolding in Rochester, giving people a chance to respond. And I was, although I met some nice people in Rochester, was met with hostility by at least one person who really, shame on them, react in such a horrible, abysmal fashion. Looks like I'm hitting snow squalls. It's been clear all day, and as I'm here on the road driving around town, the snow's popped out again. So it looks like YouTube's messaging's not quite getting out yet, telling people, there we go. Hello, whoever that is. Can't see. Busy driving. But thanks for being here. You're welcome to chat. The more you chat, the more people will show up. That's how it works. If you build it, they will come. At least that's a theory with the algorithm. Whether that's true or not, we have to wonder sometimes. But yeah, so anyway, folks, good afternoon, good evening. It's nearly morning for folks in South Africa, almost midnight. Yep. So, yeah, I'm here in New York State still, and traveling around. So an interesting day today with refugees. It was fascinating, to say the very least. So, yeah. So I don't know if people aren't finding the stream or it's not being published or what, but we are a little slow on the uptake here. Maybe people are just exhausted. It's been a long day. Okay, so for clarity's sake, this is not a Frappuccino. This is a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but, you know, I figured I'd get one. They still had Christmas cups. Look at that. It's a coffee, not a Frappuccino. In case anyone's curious, not a Frappuccino. So I haven't broken that fast. Hey, guys, welcome back. For those of you who've been watching along today, you'll see that I did interviews with 2 different refugee families. Also did a live stream. And not to mention, I did a short on my old channel, my America's Pulse with Chris Wyatt. That channel, I did a short about Minneapolis and Don Lemon. But here on this channel, I've been very busy today with a morning stream, then or video upload, excuse me, not a stream. And then I went to meet with these people from the Church World Service, and there's no way to dial them. I don't know how to dial their number. The thing is broken. And I met refugees who showed up there looking for support and couldn't get any help. Yeah, so again, not to disparage Church World Services, but that was an odd situation, to say the very least. Something very strange going on there. And the stories that I heard from South African refugees in Rochester do not appear to be embellished, do not appear to be whining, do not appear to be people having expectations that are out of what they should be getting. It seems to me that these are people who have legitimate questions, gripes, concerns that are not being addressed adequately, and there is no recourse for them. They have no one to turn to. There is a grievance process made available to refugees, but I'm not sure that we're briefing them properly on how that works. I don't know if that's even the case. Somebody said they don't want to miss one of my broadcasts, so I'm glad you're here. So, yeah, crazy. Anyway, you know, it was cold too. I mean, you guys know I like the cold. I'm a Viking. I don't mind the cold, but man, oh man, sakes alive. My hands were hurting really badly, so were my feet this morning. Thought they're never going to warm up when I did that live stream. That was interesting. So I think my approach was good, but it appears that something untoward is happening, because when I went to the other place, that, as far as I knew, had nothing to do with the refugee, with the Church World Service. I went there, and I went to a church because Mad Max gave me the address, and I'm like, okay, I knocked on the door, and lo and behold, there were folks in there, and they let me in. It was lovely, beautiful spot. Looks like help for, and I was all excited to do a good news story about what's going on, how they help refugees, because I couldn't find any help in Rochester. I've been to a few different organizations. One moved their location, so, you know, and then that's not where they were. And I went to where they said they were, and where they said they were is a parking lot. I come to find out later on from a very helpful gentleman who was at the next place I went to before things went south, that it's actually south that street. not just the street, but south, which wasn't listed on the sheet. And when I called the number, they don't answer. So, but the gentleman said, "Oh no, they're on South Plymouth Street." I said, "Okay, well, all right." And I was going to go there later on. But then what happened was we were chatting, and he said, "Well, you should talk to the supervisor, Mike." So I said, "Great, let me talk to Mike. I appreciate that. He doesn't have to give me an interview. I doesn't have to answer my questions. I just want to see what's going on. It looks like you guys are doing some good stuff here." Quite seriously, it looked like they were. So went over there and went to the building. Some nice people. An Asian lady was the front, and there's an Anglo-Saxon white guy there too, who's an American. And there's some refugees in there, obviously, who are getting services and help from these people, all waiting patiently. It looks like some Africans and some South Asians and others. And I was fine and polite, and I was fine and polite. I explained what I was doing. I said, "Look, no obligation. I'm just trying to do a good news story about the refugee situation here in Rochester and see what people are doing." And I wandered into your church, and it looks like they're doing some good stuff. So, if he's available. He was at lunch, and he wasn't answering his phone. So they gave me his number. I do have his number. And then out of nowhere, this guy came in. He had a bunch of doorknobs in his hand. It looked like doorknobs. And he said, "Hello." I said, "Hi." And he said, "Just a second," or something like that. He went to the back, and I said, "That guy's pretty busy. He's working hard." And from the back, he's like, "Yeah, I'm working hard." Okay. All right, buddy. It was a compliment, not a criticism. And then he came forward after reading his phone. He comes up and he goes, "We don't need you here." I said, "Sorry? Don't need you here. I'm going to ask you to leave." I don't even think he asked me, but I'm just being generous here, but whatever. Switching cell phone towers. Sorry for the break. You're not buffering. It was just me switching cell phone towers. So anyway, yeah, it only lasted a second. It's back now. I switched cell phone towers. So anyway, so then I walked outside, and then he walks out the door, follows me out, and starts telling me, fuck off the Pennsylvania, fuck you, fuck off." I'm like, what the hell? So I walked down the street to the corner to get away from the building where they're at, which is a converted house. And he's still running his mouth. He's calling people, and he's like, look, he's talking on the phone like, no, going on with all this stuff and talking about me. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? So I made a video. And you can't hear him because he's in the background. He's telling me to fuck off and fuck back to Pennsylvania. Very rude. So he disappeared, went across the street. I walked back down the street to my car. He pops out back on the sidewalk, stands in the street, or maybe he's on the sidewalk. I don't know. Look, he's in the street and starts filming me walking up the sidewalk and then going to my car. Clearly an attempt to intimidate me. But listen, pussy boy, I'm not intimidated by your behavior. Your behavior was obnoxious. It was an abomination. It was disrespectful and rude. You shouldn't talk to anybody like that. And if that's how you talk to an American who did nothing but simply, I was brought in the building. I didn't even cold call knock on the place. And that's how you treat me as an American citizen on American soil for a service you offer to people that we pay taxes for you to help with? Now, I don't know that organization gets tax money because I haven't done research on them. But trust me, I will do research on them now. Also, I leave the door open to the director of the place. He's welcome to chat with me, and he'll be treated fairly. Unlike the scumbag shitbird that works for him. Assuming he works for him. He had to rule the place, told me to get out, so one would presume that he has authority there. And I don't know if he's an American or a foreign national, but he sounded American. But he was obnoxious. He was rude. He was disrespectful. And you shouldn't treat anybody like that. If that's how they treat an American citizen, imagine how they treat refugees. Now, again, I saw nothing untoward happening to the refugees who are there. They seem to be getting help. People are polite and friendly. But who knows if that's how this guy behaved. So what have I uncovered in Rochester? Is it simply people misunderstand? There's some confusion. Refugees are demanding too much? No, that's not the case. There is definitely something going on in Rochester that's not supposed to be happening. And it's time for the State Department or USCIS to take a look at these contracts. Now, I don't know about that place because I don't know if they have a contract. But I do know the Church World Services gets a crap load of money. The vast majority of their funding comes from the U.S. government. One reason why they published these political advocacy comments last year attacking the Trump administration because their gravy train dried up. And their response is to put out insulting, demeaning, and anti-American press releases rather than simply answer questions from the press or talk to the press. And I know because I've tried to reach them twice the past year and they don't want to talk. Anyway, so I don't know who this clown is that works for that organization, but this is not over. Your attempt to intimidate me fell flat, and it was embarrassing and ridiculous. Screaming like a deranged lunatic on the street while people are going up and down the street, you look like a fool, probably because you are a fool. And so be careful, because it's just to yourself. Stupid people like that are kind of walk right into freaking doorbells and walls because they're not very bright. So I don't know what your problem was, and I don't know what you think you know about me, but obviously you don't know jack squat about me. Nobody's treated unfairly on my program. A single person ever interviewed by me was ever put in a gotcha. If there's a question was challenging, I lead that with letting people know. I'll give them the opportunity. They don't have to answer the question. It's up to them. So I'm here to tell you that, yeah, you're so aggressive, you got something to hide. Exactly. Yep, it was very aggressive. What was that? Someone just said something. There's a red Silverado. Must be nice. Those are expensive. Big Silverado pickup truck from Chevy. Something is not kosher. I'm sorry you got so cold despite... Oh, no, it's fine. I'm a Viking. In the cold, I'll survive. But it was cold. Poured a lot of time and effort into today. How genuine you are about helping others. Yeah, no. And I've always been. That's my whole life. It's been a life of service. You know, whether it was in the Civil Air Patrol as a kid in high school, or the Weeblos and Cub Scouts, which you obviously do for personal achievement. It's also to give service back to the nation. Or it was my time in the active force as an enlisted soldier, my time in the National Guard as an enlisted soldier, or my career as an officer in the active duty Army. The countries I lived in, I wasn't forced to go live in Africa. I wanted that. It was very difficult, and I made an affecting decision. You know, when I did that, making major was hard in that career field. Making lieutenant colonel was rare. Making colonel was almost unheard of. There were only like 6 or 8 colonels in the entire Army that did that at the time. So there are plenty of colonels in intelligence, and my career in intelligence was assured. I would have made colonel for sure, no questions asked, and probably might even made general officer. But I made the conscious decision that I wanted to make an impact in Africa. That's what mattered more to me. I wanted to be where we could change history and make the world a better place. And I made that decision as a young man. And I stuck to my guns, even though I was sent back to the intelligence corps. Then I came back to that field. And, you know, the abusive people, they behave that way because they're small-minded, they're ignorant, they're jealous, they have envy. Come on, give me another tower. Okay, sorry, you're not buffering. It's just switching towers here. I'm on a mobile network. I broadcast a mobile network, so it switches towers, and that happens. So we're back. But, you know, someone made a video in response to one of mine. They said the so-called colonel, because they put colonel in quotes, you know, was offered a chance to go to that farm. What the hell are you talking about? Someone I don't know calls me out of the blue with a number I never, and I said, well, you're welcome to come on my program when I get back to the States, because I'm just a couple days from going home. I'm now in the Western Cape, not in the Free State. So I can't, you know, reconnecting again. Folks, it's the cell phone network. I keep changing towers. But a U.S. congressman has already been contacted about what happened today, about what happened at Church World, or what didn't happen at Church World Service, because nothing happened there. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. And what did happen at the other place. A U.S. congressman has been notified of this. So we'll see what happens. How do we go from 20? Oh, because they're reconnecting. Yeah, so there you go. What is that? What is it? What's being said there? I don't know why I took these off. Where the hell did I put them at? Back in here? Sun is setting here, folks, in the west. It's going to be dark soon. That's unfortunate. I don't like driving in the dark. It's kind of a rule I don't have. True example of service to others. Much respect. You poured. Okay, cool. Am I still live? Is anybody there? Can somebody give me a thumbs up? I'm live, because I switch towers frequently, and the audience dropped from 80 down to 35. So if I'm live, please let me know. If I'm not live, then I know I'm wasting your time and mine. So am I still live? It's 12:05 in South Africa. Well, yeah, it's about that time here. All right, thank you, Jareth. I'm still live. Guys, the sunset's absolutely beautiful. I'd love to show it to you, but I don't want to take the phone up and hold it, because you're not allowed to do that in New York State. So I'll just leave it in its mount where it's at. But yeah, so that guy, all he has done is draw attention. This is what should have happened. Yeah, Congressman has been contacted about what happened to me today. Yep. Someone was contacted, a member of Congress, what happened to me today. Why is mine like... obviously, cell phone coverage here sucks in this part of New York State. But I was saying before we got reconnected from one tower to another, how many bars do I have? So I've got 5 bars. I'm on 5G. Shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully that'll continue there. But as I was saying, the sun is going down. There's a ridge line. There's a cloud cap above it. And then all you see is the sun. with no brightness above it. This like line of red and pink and orange that's going. Thank you for your patience. It's a cell phone tower. So I know it's frustrating, but I'm paying. Anyway, so it's interesting to say the very least what's going on here. But the guy at that organization didn't have to be rude. All he had to say to me is that, okay, he's got the message. The supervisor, yeah, I know the signal is the towers. The supervisor has your number. He'll give you a call, all right, or send you a message, and that's all that. I already said I was leaving. That's the funny part. This guy comes in and starts getting abusive, and I already said, okay, guys, I'll just leave. I'll let him contact me. I already making a decision to leave. And he came over and confronted me. There was no reason for confrontation. But now, we're going to release the Kraken now, buddy. We're going to release the Kraken because you knocked, and it's all very foul mouth. For what? I never said a word to you unkind. Help me. You had to come and piss in everybody's tea. You have made this an issue now. And now it is an issue. And if you think it's over, you screwed up royally. The people you work for are going to regret that they hired you. They are. Because if that's how you treat people who come into a place of business, I can only imagine what this ass said after I left. But ranting like a lunatic in the streets, trying to intimidate me. He didn't threaten me, folks. And I wouldn't have felt threatened anyway, But unbelievable. Shocking to say the very least. Then trying to take, photos, or it looked like video because he held the phone up for a while, of me walking down the street, getting in my car. Dude, you want a picture of me? Just say so. Let's be rude. Wow. I will say that I went around the block, turned around, came back, and I waved to him with the window down and said, Happy New Year, asshole. I did call him an asshole. That's after he acted like a screaming banshee in the streets, like a lunatic, like he was being assaulted by somebody. The guy's like 30 or 40 meters away from me acting like this. It's, look, I mean, obviously, I'm not making allegations, but people don't behave that way unless something is going on. They don't just start acting like crazy people just because they can. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, well, the sun is, look, there's almost like, as it highlights the clouds. It's like the rapture over there. I wish I could take a picture of it. But I've got plenty of these sunsets from Pennsylvania. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, folks. That guy's behavior really simply suspicions. I mean, if you were trying to stop a story, not a good idea, buddy. Like I said, the way to handle it would have been very differently. It's a shame Mike wasn't there, because Mike could have said, yeah, I'll be happy to. They would have said, are you recording? Like, no, not without your permission. Can I have permission to record? I would have asked. I don't record people without their permission. But there was no need to record. I just want to thank him, So it's unfortunate, because I'd hoped to show people good news story about how refugees in Rochester are getting help. But instead, I got verbally assaulted and harassed by a lunatic. He chose to be an idiot. Shouting defense says a lot about him. It does. It says an awful lot about him. And it also says an awful lot about what's going on. So you want me to speculate? You want me to speculate about what I think is happening here? I can speculate. There's all kinds of room for speculation here. No allegations, just speculation. I'm happy to speculate. I'm sure you can speculate too. But I'm happy to speculate. If anybody wants to speculate, he does need a sign. But I can speculate for you guys. Give him a sign. Yep. Yeah, but my hands were freezing. But I should have recorded him on the public sidewalk, screaming and ranting like that. So, speculation time. Talk to. So it saved me some time. So, how would they know about me? Yeah, it's the mobile network, folks. It's the mobile network. All right, guys, this is too hard on you and too now before I lose the signal again. And I'll either do it later tonight when I've got a good signal. And or it could be a landlord. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it has nothing to do with the program. Yeah. Yeah, but if they're leasing the space from him, he has no right to throw people out of the business, even though he owns the building. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I will, when I get a better signal and I get down the road for a bit, when I get a better signal and I get down the road for a bit, I'll either try there or I'll wait till I get to home tonight, okay? You and too frustrating for me. And I'm me going up a hill. I hate these truck drivers that pull this crap on you. By stating he knows, he opens up, opens him up to an agenda. He's got his own agenda. All right. So yeah, obviously he had an agenda. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I'm sorry, but I'll get back with you. I got to pay attention to the road because it's starting to get dark and the signal's bad. So you guys take care. Be sure to hit the like button, okay? Yeah, you'll hear from me a bit later then. Yeah, you'll definitely hear from me by early morning, South Africa time. I'll do a live tonight if I get home. If not, if I stop on the way, I'll do a live tonight from my hotel, okay? Whichever the case is. All right, guys, hang in there.